This video is a self-help video on putting an engine back together for, this is an Garelli Euromoped. I think it's 1972 or something like that, and I've been asked to put the engine back together. So I have cleaned up most of the parts and finally managed to get this oil seal was particularly difficult to get, and eventually got the gaskets from Italy. Some of the other components I've cleaned up: the head, the top head, the clutch and the rotor, and that's the carburetor there and the filter. These are some of the older parts, and I got a bag of those parts with it as well, but I don't think I will be using any of them. So I'm not a mechanic, I'm just an enthusiast, and somebody asked me to put this back together for them, so I'm going to have a go at it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional, so this is just self-help if somebody is in the same situation dealing with a similar type of moped engine. And this one is a Garelli Euromoped. That's it there. So I bought this book of spare parts just to so that I could see exactly what I was doing and to get the sizes for the different components, the oil seals, etc. The piston and everything seems to be reasonably good on it, and there's new piston rings that we got for it, and we got new bearings, 6302s I think is what they are. What was on the old ones? Yeah, 6302s. So that's it. I'm going to start it now and start putting it back together by putting in the bearings and seals. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to put this bearing in here. I'm after lubricating with some 2-stroke oil there. So I'm just going to heat up this here, and then it should go in much easier. A lot of people say that you should put these in the freezer to cool them down, but I don't find it of any great use, so I'm just going to heat this and then I'm going to put it in after heating it up, because the material will expand, so it'll be easier to put it in.
Supply via the UK, and they get it from Norway as well. So if there is,
now I'm just after heating that up there, and it's even slipping in much easier at the moment, but I'm using what is it, a 32mm socket, because it's just about the right size just to tap it into place. Now that's the first bearing in place there. I'm going to turn it over now and put the oil seal on the back end of it, which is this one here. I must check the number of it. I can't remember what it was. And the other one is a 102619. 102619. Now that's sealed there, and a 22mm socket just fits it perfectly. So that's that side completed. I have to do the same now with this one here, the other side. 6302, and the seal at the other side is a 21427. Now that was a seal that I wasn't able to get here in Ireland, so I had to get it from Germany. and it was difficult enough to get it. A lot of places don't do them, like, you know. That's the bearing now, ready to slide it down. Again, I'll use the 32mm socket just to tap it down evenly. Right, that's it down in place there now. And we'll put the seal in at the other side. And just tap that down. Right, that's the 2142-7 oil seal down in position there now. So, oh, that's hot. There are the two of those done. So the next thing to do now is to put the conrod in. So I have to just check and see which way it actually goes by going back to the parts list. Okay. I've just been looking at it there to see which is the right way to install it, and it kind of works with the instructions in the book, that this one here, which has this section on it there, right, the rotor isn't on that side at all, it's on the other side. That goes in there, the flywheel. So the flywheel is held in position with a Woodruff key, this little fella. So that side with the Woodruff key goes through that side of the unit to come out here, because this is where the rotor goes. So I'm going to put this side through first, and then I'm going to put the rotor side through. Right, that's one side of it in position there now, so I'm going to put on the other side now, but before I do that I must put on the gasket. And this is the new gasket. I'm going to put some gasket material on with it as well. And you might notice here that there are two little pins. That's to help to locate it on the one on the other side. Now I don't actually know how this engine, it's very very small, how it's actually lubricated. As I say, I didn't actually take it off of the bike, and I didn't take it apart. It was taken apart when I got it, so I'm not exactly sure how it's lubricated with oil. Now to install it, there are actually two holes on this side here. One is for the little pin, and there's only one hole at the other side. So I'll just put the gasket material on now first to hold it in place. Now that's the gasket in place there, and I'm going to put the other casing down over that there now. I must put some more gasket. I'll actually put it on here rather than on the gasket itself. So I'll put the gasket material on here. Now I'm just putting the other casing on there. I just need to prise them together to seal it up. I have the gasket material on the casing itself, and it's going in pretty easily. Now according to the book, there are 6 bolts, number 14, which is a screw, and there are 6 of them, but there is no spring washers or anything else like that evident. So I'm just going to put on this. I have 6 nuts here and 6 washers, and I don't know what they're for, but according to the book there's just the 6 bolts, and they go in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll tighten the 6 of them down now all the way through to the other side. and there's no place for nuts to go on there either. In tightening down those screws, what I'm doing is I'm doing them one at this side, one at this side, then I'll tighten this one and then this one, and then I'll do the other two on the opposite side here, because these ones will symmetrically pull it down a bit better. Next thing to put on is these 4 bolts that hold the head in place, and they are, I think they're M5s, and they're 116 millimeters long with 12 millimeters of thread on both ends. So they'll go in like so. Thread them all down in place. Right, I'll tighten all those down. Now that's the 4 of those tightened down in place. Next thing now I'm going to do is to put this piston on. The pin is already inside in it. Just pull it out ever so slightly, and one of the circlips is in place, and I think this is forward from the pictures of the bike. It's difficult to know. Could be the other way around actually. Now I've just put on the piston there and pushed the pin through the head of the conrod, and I must now insert this little circlip in there. So I'm going to use long nose pliers to do that. Just after covering the area there so that this circlip, because it's slipping off, that it doesn't fall down into the engine, I'll have to take it all apart again. Right, that's it in place there now. Next thing to do now is to put on this new gasket, and that's the way it goes, like so. I must put some gasket sealer on it first. Now that's the gasket in place, and I must just do the other side of it. I might actually do the underneath of the head altogether, be easier. Now that's the bottom part of the head down there. It's after sitting down. So now the next thing to do is to put on right, according to the book, there's actually no gasket up here. There's only a gasket down on the lower section, which is number 3 gasket. That's the only gasket that's mentioned, number 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this universal gasket material, I'm going to put that on there and put on the upper head onto it then. That's all I can do. Right, that's the gasket material in place there now, so I'm just going to put it on top of this here. Right, that's the top head in place there now, and it must be tightened down with number 4, 5 and 6. 4 is a plain washer, 5 is spring washer, and 6 is the nut. So these are the 6 of the nuts. I'm after changing the spring washers, and I'm after the ordinary washers, I'm after changing them as well. Right, I've tightened down the 4 spring washers, nuts and washers, and I've inserted a plug. So that's it for that. There's the clutch to do next. The rotor I must change. I must change the condenser, and I must check this to see if it's working. So that's it. And there are the two gaskets there. One is for the carburetor. It's for the carburetor, and that's for the exhaust. There. Okay. I'm dealing with the clutch next, and looking at the different component parts. This is a needle bearing which is already on it, and it looks in good condition, so I'm not doing anything with that. That's the casing itself. That's the needle bearing. I must just take a note off of it there of the size of it. There's an oil seal inside here, and it looks to be in good condition, so I'm not going to replace it. There's very little oil for it to be sealing anyway, because this engine doesn't seem to take oil at all. There's no place to fill oil into it, except there's one screw there down the side of it, but that doesn't go into the engine. Right, then there's this mechanism here, and there's a spring which is already in it, and it looks to be fine. Then there's a metal plate that goes on there like that, which I cleaned off. There it goes. Then there's the clutch item itself, goes on there. Then there's this spring that goes on there. Oh, I forgot one piece. There's a washer with a special lip on it that goes in there. The spring. Then this piece here, which is that, goes there. And then this piece here, which I cleaned off as well, goes on there. And then you have to push it down like so, and then put on the nuts and spring washers. I'm using spring washers. There was wave washers on it first, but the ones that I have, they don't seem to be very good quality, and the other ones are they're a bit on the flat side as well. Then there's this mechanism here that's supposed to have two bolts, and then there's a flat bar as well, which I don't have. I don't know what's happened to that. It didn't come to me anyway. So that appears to attach on there. I don't know if it's underneath or inside there like that. It's possibly on there, and the other bar goes on the outside. Anyway, I'll see in a minute. I'll try and put it on. So I'm just going to finish this off and put on the nuts and spring washers. Now that's the clutch put together, and you can press it down. So obviously this mechanism here is for engaging that there. It presses on that there somehow. Right, that goes in there then, into that. The other one here, and that all goes in there like so. Right, that's that. That's all I can do with it anyway. I must just look at this here and see if I can put it on there first. Right, I've installed it there now, and I've put on new stainless steel M5 by 12 bolts, and I've put on those lock nuts on the end of it. That bar is missing. I don't know where that bar goes. It's possible that it goes in underneath that section there, but as I don't have it, maybe it's an optional piece, I don't know. Anyway, that's that. I don't have the cover of it either. I didn't get the cover of the that's the cover there that I was referring to, and there's some sort of a spring that holds it in place that goes over this little lug here and at the other side. Anyway, I don't have it, so I'll be sending it back to the person that sent me the engine as it is. Right, the next thing to do now is to put on the carburetor, which I have there, and the filter, which I'm after cleaning all that off, and I must put on the gasket. Now I'm after installing the gasket there with the gasket out of the tube underneath it, and I've put some on this section here, and from looking at the book, this is the way it goes on. Like so. And there are two bolts somewhere that I must attach it with. I must find them now first. Now I'm after installing the carburetor there, and I had the bolts that were in the box. They were M6 by 25, so I just put two new stainless steel ones in there, and stainless steel spring washers as well. Okay, I must put on the filter next. Now this is the air filter, and I must just tighten up that screw there, and whoever is fitting it back on the bike can turn it the right way around. I'll just tighten it up. Now that's the carburetor in place, clutch in place. The rotor is the next thing to put on, which is here. Now I'm going to change the condenser. I'm going to check this to see if it's got power, and the lighting coil should be okay. I'll check that as well, and if they're okay, I'll put them back on, but I'll change the condenser. Now I'm after changing the coil. I put a new coil on it, and the coil that was on it wasn't working, so I had several other ones there in a box, and this one actually has power, so I put that on, and a new bit of a lead. So I'll put it onto the unit there now. I'll have to put on the Woodruff keys later. I'll be putting it on there, and I'll attach it with the 3 screws. There. I've just put in the rotor there now, and I've put in the Woodruff key there into its slot that basically holds this from coming out. There's a slot on it there that you must put it through, so I'm going to put that on there now, and my end of the thing is finished. Somebody else will have to do the timing on it, probably when it's on the bike.
Unveiled.
So I'm now putting on the flywheel there, and there's a washer that goes on next, shake proof washer, and a nut. So that's it. I must just tighten that up there now, and from my point of view, it's finished. So that's it. And this is a Nagrati Garelli Euromoped 1972. That's the engine for it.